Okay, what's going on out there, everybody? We are back for a full-on discussion after show for Euphoria Season 2, Episode 6. Got everybody back this time. My man Jarrell's is back. Nat's here. Ant's here. We're about to go full-on. So if you have not seen the episode yet, make sure you go and watch the episode first and then come back and rewatch this discussion because we're going to just go and break open everything. So how you guys doing?
Hey.
And like, look,
like, what are we doing?
It's like, no, man, emotional
damage.
I'm about to flip that empathy switch off. That to be like, like, I don't care about these people.
So did anyone drink in this after this episode or during this episode? I feel like last episode 5 y'all did, and now this week y'all don't drink.
Oh hell yeah! I done took me a shot already.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what the hell? I got some whiskey. I got some whiskey right here. I thought
we all did a shot together. I thought it was implied.
Right. Y'all are wild.
What you mean? Got settled the nerves.
Look, okay, so let's go ahead and just break this open. So coming off of episode 5, right? And everything that happened with Rue, everything that the damage that was caused. Now this is, the aftermath of all that. It starts off literally with Rue, and Z is just her acting and just trying to go through the withdrawals of everything. I think there was a Jolly Rancher just sitting right in front of her. And her trying to just focus and going through all the different stages of the withdrawals. I think it was a very well acted performance, but it also was so sad because she's dealing with all the emotions of what she did and having to live with it. And she's also finally back narrating because the whole episode 5, she didn't narrate at all, right? Am I incorrect with that?
Yeah. There was no narration last episode. So this episode, there was narration again.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a cold open either. There wasn't like a backstory. It just went straight again into the aftermath of what happened in episode 5.
Right.
I feel like her narrator self was even like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Even her narrator self was like,
Yeah, so, I think the only thing she might have said is like, please God, don't let me die. Like when she was going out in front of the cars or something like that. That was the only time I think I remember her saying anything. Yeah. So I think you might be right. And like maybe it's like, I don't know what's about to happen, but we got to get these drugs back. We got to get this money. I don't know what's about to happen.
Well,
but
it was mostly focused on her. So it wasn't like they weren't really focused on everyone else. It was from her point of view the entire time.
True. That's really true. But within this episode, like I said, it started off with Rue dealing with that, getting over everything. And the first person that kind of came to her mind was Ali and what she said to Ali like 3 episodes back. And she was beyond remorseful of it. It was kind of like she dreaded even calling him back because she didn't feel as though she deserved forgiveness and she didn't know what he was going to say. How do you guys feel about, D'Amico Coleman's like performance and what he said and what his impact was in this episode? I was curious y'all's perspective on Ali in this episode and the impact I guess he's laying for the foundation, whatever Rue's the direction she's going anyway.
Oh my goodness. I first off, the Jolly Rancher moment, I just gotta give a shout out to just because it genuinely caught me off guard.
Right.
Because as dark as the last episode was, I did think that there was like things are so absurd, it's darkly hilarious aspect to the last episode. But this episode, there was none of that.
Right.
And the moment where she was talking to Ali and he just sort of like immediately forgives her, I don't even know if I have the right words to articulate such a moment, because it really was just like it was just a huge gut punch. And I've met so many people that are reminiscent of Ali, and man, it was just a really emotionally powerful moment for me. Like I feel more deeply connected to Ali than ever before, despite the fact we see this nigga like every blue moon. But
right,
it was a really powerful moment.
Yeah, especially considering the last time, like, he was holding back, like putting hands on this little girl. Like he had to catch himself because he knew he was compromised. He knew she had got him in check, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But he came back understanding what his role needed to be. Nat, what about you?
I think his presence was very much needed. Considering how there hasn't really been a father figure in that household since Rue's dad died.
True.
At least as far as I'm aware. And so him, cooking dinner, him paying attention to Gia, who, again, needed a hug. Someone needed to know or, talk to her and make sure that she was okay and help her process, again, her sister going through, this pain and this addiction. And so it was very much needed. I really appreciated the fact that he forgave her and he was trying to crack jokes. He was trying to bring, lightness into something that was really depressing, really. And you saw, like, earlier, the withdrawals. And like you said, it was definitely well acted by everyone. I mean, this episode, again, was well acted. But yeah, Ali, I love Ali. I'm just so glad he's around. And I'm surprised Gia didn't really expound or interrogate him a little bit more, considering she knew that she was, or Rue was smoking weed, so to speak, but he had to have been aware that she was still taking drugs. So no one really addressed that. I thought that was interesting.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because even to your point with that, it's like Gia's just dealing with so much. And she just needed somebody, I think, to really identify how her emotions are right now. Like, she needed to be able to know it's okay to feel angry at your sister. It's okay to, like, nobody was paying attention to her. And as much as Rue keeps saying she wants to kill herself, she wants to do this, and that's justified. But what's happening to Gia is equally as destructive and can even be is more tragic. And I find that, like, with him identifying that and him being there and him forgiving her, and like you said, cooking and being around and being a presence, it's just so special. So it's like, regardless if his character ends in the tragic route, he's allowing her, Rue, to understand that there is something more. There's something that you can get through this. There's a possibility of you getting through this. Because that question, I was going to bring that up because, it was like, can she be sober? Like, do you think that she's going to make it out of this? And I think, what was his answer? And do you remember what his answer was? When they asked him, do you think that she can make it through this? I forget what he said.
I want to say he thinks that she has a chance. She can, or something like that is what he said.
Right.
And then I think that's when they had that conversation about, do you think this is your rock bottom type of thing?
Right. That's it.
But just his role in this episode was very powerful for me. And I think that I hope a lot of people, when they watch this, feel like they can go back and just ask for forgiveness, right? A lot of times people are afraid to go back. And so they'll just let things stay where they at because they're like, there's no way somebody would forgive me for that. That was the most, crusty thing I could have said to them or did to them. And they'll just let relationships just stay like that. And you never know who's just waiting, like, hey, we can get past this if you just come back. Right. And so, and that powerful, like, how powerful are the words, I forgive you? Right. Especially when you
100%.
deserve that forgiveness. Yeah. I think I forgive you and like, I'm proud of you and things like that. Those words have such impact on us.
Right.
Especially when we think we don't deserve it.
Right.
And so I thought that even coming in, another thing I really liked about his performance this episode was to focus on Rue's little sister, right? Like you need to focus on her. Let Rue go through her process, but you need to show that little one some love. And I think it was implied attention because she's waiting on it, right? And she probably feels like I feel like she probably feels like she can't even mess up or be a problem at all because her mom already has her hands full with Rue. and everything's about Rue. And I think they haven't really explored it, but that's almost like kind of how Lexi feels like the background character in her family and her friends group. And so I thought that was really powerful. And he came in the house and cooking and whatnot. Mom got her head looking all nice and
yes.
Mom was like,
yes.
Man in the house.
Yep, I had a feeling she was going to do that because she kind of did that when he dropped her off, or she happened to, be straight when he stopped by. So, yes.
And by the way, can I just say, Mama looking good? Okay, I'm just. If Rue or your sister, if y'all just happen to be watching this, Mama's fine. You know what I'm saying? God damn. But what is her name? Did anyone catch her name? The mom's name? I don't think I've ever called her name, but she's fine. It don't even matter what her name is. Matter of fact, I don't need her name. Okay, shit. Go ahead, get in there, Ali. Get in there, son. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're talking about the idea of forgiveness because it's actually a theme going around. It's not just secluded to like Rue and her family. Like you could take that to be like Maddie's perception of Cassie and just having the conversation she had with, the woman of the house that she's sitting for. Even with where Nate, what he does and what he's trying to do and what he does with Jules. There's a lot of different things about like forgiveness that some people don't just freely give it, like Ali, and what that means and what that does with relationships. I think it's really fascinating. I want to touch on the mom really quick because the last thing that we hear is the mom just completely believes that Rue is going to kill herself, and she is desperate to get her back into rehab. And just I don't know how you guys felt, but it felt so depressing and just sad. And it's not just because of the circumstance, but because I know that there's so many other things at play against Rue anyway. Like the drugs have not been secured back. She escaped from the drug dealer that she got these drugs from. The ramifications have still not fallen yet. And the mom is still sitting there desperate to get her back into rehab. And we don't even know if she can even get back in now. And I don't know how did you guys feel at the very end with the mother's dialogue and how they panned it out? And what does that mean for the remainder of the season, honestly?
So the best answer I can really give with that is that I noticed the interesting parallel between my favorite film from 2013, which is The Wolf of Wall Street with DiCaprio, and what you're talking about, like, again, I stated before, the last episode I found to be bizarrely fun, like a bizarre roller coaster ride, and then like this episode was like, bam, just really sobering. And like Wolf of Wall Street, for the most part, despite all the heinous things happening, it's like a very darkly fun experience, but it's like when you get to the end of that movie, or when you get to this the end of this episode, there's a connection there because there's this sense of like oh no, like even though I've been having a bit of fun, it's like you almost forget that, like, even though we're talking about fictional people, but like you forget that she's like a person,
right?
You forget that, like, Jesus, she's like fragile. This could legitimately, I could literally see Sam being, I don't think this is gonna happen, but I could see Sam being so bold as to like off Rue, which I genuinely don't think is happening, and I know this is a thing that's been spreading around social media. Is, oh my god, I think Zendaya is gonna die, or Rue's gonna die. But there's definitely a connection there, and I just that's what came to mind for me. Like, I remember at the end of The Wolf of Wall Street just being like, whoa, like this is like a straight disgusting, like, really fucked dude, and like at the end of this episode, I remember just thinking like, whoa, like she is so damaged. And it's not like the drug dealers out there have just like forgotten since she
not at all
parkoured her way to escape. You know what I mean? Right. They're still coming. So for me, it just made me think, like, I don't want to say that she's permanently lost, but it's just like, man, if she can come back from this, it would be one of the great tales for the ages, and I don't know that she can. I guess maybe fear is what came to mind.
Right.
Fear.
Right.
A very sobering fear came to mind.
Yeah, that impending reality check, that gut check reality check of like, dang, man, regardless of how much somebody forgives and reforms and tries, that there's still this capability or possibility that this is not gonna end the way we hope, you know. But what do you guys feel? Ant? Oh, you're on mute, bro.
Well, y'all just missed some jewels I dropped. I can't repeat. Anyway, no. Like I've been in that position trying to find services. I've been in that position where people are trying to get connected to services, and it's like just not a bed or not a space or anything like that. And it's rough. It's rough when you're trying to save some money. You hear someone's voice, they're trying to save their child or their parent or their spouse or whatever. And like I think this episode was, for the most part, besides some anxiety moments, was pretty healing. And then that part made you realize, or it was really setting up that this isn't over, right? This isn't over. This is a constant battle. It is maintenance, right? It is maintenance to keep this up. And one little slip can have this whole spiral again. While you getting healthy, you have a woman that wants her money and gonna get her money. Says she always gets her money. So I like I said, I think I spent a lot of time last episode talking about like how could y'all put yourself in even more trouble, but yeah, she's just trying to save her daughter's life.
Right. She was trying. She's still trying. She's still trying. Nat, what about you?
I mean, I agree with everyone. The mom's name is Nika King, or the actress that plays her. Just FYI.
Okay.
Leslie Bennett is the character name. But I just thought it was heartbreaking, really, because, yeah, like you said, she's trying. She wants to save her daughter's life, and I don't know what's going to happen now that there really isn't a bed readily available.
Right.
And I don't think it's because they don't care. It's probably because they're full. 9 times out of 10, it's probably what it is. And so it's like you're racing against the clock. Like, she really believes that Ruth is going to kill herself. Like, this is, again, like you said, a ticking time bomb. And we just don't know how long she has. Like, right now, things are calm, but that can change on a dime. Like, it happened last year, and we're still going through this. So, yeah.
Man, it seemed like it's getting a little dark here. All right, we got to shift gears, go. So, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, or the big mess that is Maddie, Nate, and Cassie, and how that fallout from Rue just using an opportunity to get away and just outed Cassie right in front of Maddie, and immediately it sparked this scene that you see right here. Now, this whole episode, I think there was a moment where Nate had woke up. He had no idea what was going on. He was just as happy as he could be because he got his dad out of the house. And then he realized that Cassie was blowing up his phone and Maddie had not called him at all. And I think they said that something along the lines that Maddie, once she feels like she's been crossed, that's it. Like you've lost. And everything that he does from that point is very interesting, that I guess we're going to have to talk about and break down. Do you guys want to break down what Nate does and what he systematically does? Or do y'all want to talk about Maddie and Cassie first? Because there's a lot of dialogue that's going on with Cassie, talking to her mom, talking to Lexi, as well as, Maddie talking to the babysitter's, the baby's mom at the house that she's sitting at. What do you guys want to talk about first?
Listen, the only thing I have to say is that, my God, Cassie, you pitiful, baby. Jesus, pitiful, pitiful thing. It's like literally, it's like watching some cattle that accidentally got stuck in fucking some barbed wire on the farmland, being fucking stupid. Just like so pitiful, baby. Jesus. And when it comes to Maddie, like I can't believe I'm saying this, but in season 2, I'm really digging Maddie. Like dead ass. She reminds me, I can't remember which Godfather it was. I think it was the first Godfather, but it kind of reminds me of Maddie is channeling this energy from the Godfather, where I think the brother came home and he was like, oh, he was talking to his sister and he was like, oh, that your boyfriend beat you up again? And she was like, yeah, this nigga took his time walking over to that nigga's house and just beat the shit out of him. You know what I mean? And she is so channeling that like psycho yet calm energy, and I'm here for it. I'm all here for it. It's hilarious. I'm here for it.
I guess we're gonna start up on Maddie and Cassie then. Nat, what do you think? Maddie's situation, Cassie's situation, and the conversations in between in this episode.
I feel like the timeline in this episode was really weird. Like I feel like there were a lot of, they started at one point and then it's like they stopped and they backtracked and then they moved forward. Like it was weird. But Maddie, I'm not surprised that she was even contemplating doing something with the disc, but it's like Nate hurt her and Cassie. Jules is kind of like, would have been like a, what do you call it? Collateral damage if she did something with the disc or if she released the disc in some shape or form. So I feel like she was contemplating it, but I really feel like she wouldn't have gone through with it. But it was a interesting conversation that she had with Samantha, the mom, where she's babysitting.
Right.
Because she apparently did the same thing Cassie did, and she had no regrets.
Right.
But it's like, how close were you? You're saying that's your best friend, and you wound up sleeping with the boyfriend. But she did say that he came on to her at the wrong time, or when she was, I guess, feeling like effed it.
Most vulnerable.
Right. So it's actually very similar to Cassie.
Yeah.
Cassie was vulnerable. Nate just happened to be there at the right time, at least for him, to take advantage of it. And so now you have this messy situation. And I felt kind of bad for her because it was like she felt like their entire friendship was a lie. And I don't think all of it was a lie. It was just the last several months, or the time that she decided to hook up with Nate. That's when the friendship was done.
Yeah, this moment right here.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, Cassie, did you even really think of the ramifications? Yes, she's been trying to justify this entire time that because they broke up, it was like carte blanche. But that's not, especially as toxic as they were, you still wanted to hook up with someone like that. And even Lexi was like, he's been making fun of you for years. You saying you know him better just because you slept with him?
Right.
And then she was like still totally clueless, but then she wound up leaving with, okay. But let me get back to Maddie. But I was actually scared for her because of what Nate did. But Nate was doing damage control. And I do think it was like a twofold or like a threefold. He was protecting himself. He was protecting, ironically, his dad. But in a way, he was also protecting Jules and the situation that he has with Cassie. So because Maddie is the type of person that would, be vindictive and petty, he needed to stop that at the pass. So if there was any chance, that threat, just like when he choked her, that threat was going to shut her up.
Right.
Whew. I don't know. She's like, I love you. No. But I also think it's very different when she says, I love you. She was doing that from a safety aspect versus when Nate does it as a pure, it's manipulative, but at the same time, she's doing it for her safety. When Nate did it, especially with Cassie and Maddie last year, it was pure manipulation. Sorry, Aunt, go ahead.
No. I talk a lot, so. I think this is a really good thing. Like I said, I really, I know it's be awkward, but I think there's a lot of good lessons in here for parents and their kids to watch together, right? I think that when you're dealing with self-esteem and feelings of emptiness and attention-seeking behavior, things like that, um, I think we all, if we haven't experienced it, we've all known somebody in our lives that have done things just because they were trying to fill these voids in their lives, and they thought that whatever sensation they were trying to get out of it at the time, whether that was like some toxic relationship, some random people, whatever, and it never really works. It's not the cure. It's not actually what you're looking for.
Right.
And I think you could probably, if anybody wanted to look up attachment theory videos, you can see a lot of how what it seems like Cassie's attachment to her caregivers is translated to the difficulty she's having maintaining her relationships. And when you have people that are vulnerable, then you also have people who are professional exploiters and who are predators that go looking for things like that. So you have Nate, who it was almost like if you ever see the packs of herd animals and you see that the predators will pick off the slowest ones or the injured ones or the ones isolated by themselves, and that's what happened. I'm not saying that she doesn't have any blame in that or responsibility in that thing, but it's human nature. And I think a lot of people have felt like that, and they haven't really dealt with the core issues. So, like I said, I talk a lot, but I'm thinking like if you could watch this with somebody or watch this, and I know there's sex, drugs, and cursing and a whole bunch of other stuff that you probably not want to see with, but I think there's some good lessons. Even have some good conversations about how do you feel about yourself? How do you feel about, you know, how do you cope with when you have certain feelings and things like that? And I think that if anybody in her life was actually paying attention to help her cope, um, except for what she has been told is her only useful value has been her body. I think season one they talked about how every guy would take naked videos of her, even though she would ask him not to, and she wouldn't, she just wouldn't protest it too hard and still be with them. And so it's just a constant use of her body and her looks because no one respects her in any other way. No one showed her any value of any other way, and I think this is symptom of it. So I think with the older, I also think might be predatory, but the older woman at the that Maddie babysits for was kind of saying is these are unhealthy people making unhealthy choices, and I know it seems really big now, but like this is high school. You have a bigger world than your high school sweetheart and the person you're best friends with now. I don't know. That's what I got from it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's kind of like Maddie had a conversation with Kat. We'll get to Kat later. And she was like, I really want to kill this chick. I really want to kill I really want to kill her. And Kat disagrees. And I think in her head, she's so mad she doesn't have an emotion. But like her vindictive thoughts, which are things that we still don't know. I think she did something else with that disc. I think she got to a destination, did something with it. And I don't know what it was, but at the end of the day, we'll get to the Nate situation in a little bit. But I do think that when she did have the conversation with the woman, I think she was trying to understand her friend and how her friend could have done it. And I think her even asking the question, like, did you guys make up? I think a part of Maddie wants to forgive Cassie and wants to get over the hurdle because she now knows not only did, Cassie, she crossed the line, but the person that she's undividedly gave every bit of her so-called love to betrayed her for her best friend. And it just drew a line in the sand for her. But in even the conversation with Cassie, talking to her mom, talking to Lexi, she kept on in her head trying to justify, what she had done. But she did make a really interesting point when they started talking about Rue And like the mom was like, you know, Rue is a good kid, you know, but Cass is like, well, what's the difference? And I think that that's fascinating because we talked about that before. It's like, you know, all these kids got a lot of different underlying issues, and it stems to the parents. And a lot of parts of it is addiction and death and loss, or loss on either level because of addiction sometimes. And it's like, it is a very intricate connection there, but it still doesn't justify what Cassie did. But it brought a really interesting point that even like she said to Lex, like, you know, Rue has been really bad to you as a friend. You should drop her. And that technically is true too. And so I thought that was a really good conversation. Man, there's a lot in this episode. Freak. But we got to talk about Nate. The moves that Nate made, why he made those moves, why he decided to give the disc to Jules, why he threatened his own life in front of Maddie to get her to give him what he wanted. The conversation that he had with his mom, like, it's so much there that dissects Nate as a character that, to me, I'm slightly scared that I don't know what his next move is. Because he's not stupid, but at the same time, he's not psychologically all the way there. But as far as the different moments in this episode, what did you guys feel about this dissection of what Nate did, the moves that he made once he realized what he had to do?
Nate never had a chance, man. Like Nate never had. Yo, it is like both parents decided that Nate was the bad kid, and even that, like, they just heaped his mom, that whole conversation. Mom, it started off like, oh yeah, we're free and da 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 da. I'm like, oh yeah, like, we're on the same side. He's like, all right, yes, don't be a psycho to me. What do you mean? Like,
right.
And then went to blaming him about like not saying anything about his dad and all, like, just keep putting these children in places they don't need to be in, right? And again, I think we see that we have parents without really healthy boundaries, right?
Right.
And knowing to stay and how to stay in a parent role, like to help your kids. And you pretty much told your kid again, Nate's been told he ain't shit. Like, yep. And yeah, so I wonder how that I'd be really interested in seeing the episode breakdown of how that conversation with his mom informed his decision to set Jules free, and in a warped, very unhealthy, toxic way, which kind of explains their relationship, set Maddie free.
True.
And again, I am not saying that was the correct way to do anything, but like he kind of dead it, like, you know what? I know you more than anybody else. This is going to go into a whole type of thing where you're going to get back at me. It's not that I cheated. I embarrassed you. I embarrassed you publicly. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I know you. In my warped sense, I'm fond of you. So look, let's just play out the scenario so I can get what I want. And because it would have been more insulting for me to try to get you back and ask for forgiveness and all this other stuff. And I was like, man, he broke people down really well. And then what does he do? He starts another toxic, unhealthy relationship with Cassie. And I feel like, I wonder if his mom saw either Cassie being another Maddie, or whether his mom saw that Cassie and Maddie are another version of herself. Also get into a toxic relationship with somebody who can't really care for them or love them the way they deserve. I don't know. I just thought that was a very interesting hallway shot of the mom looking, Cassie going around like, hey, I'm the new one. And the mom just going like, yeah. So.
Oh, man. Nat, what about you?
I think Cassie definitely reminds her a little bit of herself and her situation with Cal. It's interesting with Nate because he's in denial of what he even did last year. He did choke Maddie. Why are you denying it, sir? He did choke her. And to say that he didn't is like, there's just something off. And his mom even, realized, okay, there's something off. Granted, he did it in defense, supposedly, of his mom, but I think that was just him trying to take control of the situation like he normally does. It's just a progression. But I actually felt, and I don't know if I can't remember if I even mentioned it last week or the episode 4, but when Cal was pretty much saying, I don't like you, like I regret having you, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And then his mom is kind of saying the same thing in her own way, but also projecting the fact that I realize that you have issues, but unfortunately your dad didn't believe in therapy. So we're here now and we're trying to figure shit out. But I'm like, take him to therapy. This is your chance to take him to therapy to find out what's going on with him.
Right.
But he's not going to. And it's like, it's just a double whammy for Nate. It's kind of like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. And it's like, he might as well just roll with the role that he has now. He's a manipulative. He's like his dad, but worse. Because he's trying to cope with the fact that no one really wants him, at least parent-wise. He didn't receive that love, so he has a hard time really loving someone the way that they need to be loved. And just like Maddie and him are toxic, Cassie and him are toxic as well, just from the circumstances in which they became together, came together. And the mom needs to go somewhere. It's like the moms in this episode, I feel like of the moms in this episode, unfortunately, Rue's mom is probably the best one of the 3.
It's true.
I mean, she's not perfect, but I feel like she's at least trying. Whereas Cassie and Lexi's mom is not trying to deal with it. Nate and Aaron's mom is not really trying to deal with it. It's like she suspected that the change in Nate's behavior is because he must have found out in some way, shape, or form the double life that Cal had. But she never really wanted to talk to him, comfort him, try and make up for the lack that Cal had with his son. It's like she didn't even try. So it's like, you're no better than he is.
Right.
They're all screwed. They all, like I said in previous after shows, everyone needs therapy. Everyone needs to really dig deep and hopefully try and move forward and address, these issues, because otherwise it's going to follow them further into their life. Even the adults need therapy at this point. It's a lot.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, I would ask a question, I guess, to you, Nat. Do you think it's that people don't want Nate, or they really truly don't trust Nate? Because I feel like there are people, I mean, even Jules had a real conversation with this man, fell in love with this man, and understand how sick he was. And she was still in her mind contemplating, like I want parts of him, but I can't trust him not to hurt himself or myself. And I feel like even in her heart of hearts, even though Maddie really, I think really in certain sick levels, really does love this man unconditionally, but she doesn't really truly trust him. And I think that everybody's like that. Everybody. Like, Cal doesn't, understand his son. He knows well enough to know he can't trust him and what he might be capable of. The mom, the whole point of that whole conversation, even with her bringing it up, she was like, something might have happened. He said, it sounds like you're hinting at something without bringing it up. And then he started getting upset because she's really really passive aggressive the way she handled it. And she started off yeah, no, don't get all upset and don't get all angry. Don't take that out on me. And I'm just like, dude, you already identified the things that's wrong with your son. All you really have to do is just look, I know your dad was messed up. I know I was a neglectful parent for letting it happen. I'm going to take ownership of you right now. Will you get therapy with me? Simple, real simple thing, but that's not her bag. That's not what she's about. And it's really sad, unfortunately.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's just she had an opportunity, and like you said, the approach was just all the way wrong. I even wrote in my notes her approach was way wrong about addressing his anger. Right. It was just, I knew where she was going, but like you said, the approach was just made it worse, I think. And how can you? It's like he's in denial about how he processes stuff and how he lashes out and how he's manipulative. Like, I think subconsciously he knows this, but he still is under the falsehood of this life that he's grown up in. It's like you're still trying to pretend that you're this good dude when really you're not. And it's understandable why, because of how you grew up, but again, it still needs to be addressed. And it's emotional unavailability. He is like the perfect definition of that, I feel like. Maybe that's my personal opinion, but it's like he's in the women that seem to love him or fall in love with him, or the young ladies, I should say, Cassie, Maddie, and in her own way, Jules, it's like they're attracted to that damaged person. It's like they sense it and they want to, I guess, make up for what he grew up with, and it's just toxic.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I was just gonna say I think that the mom only cared about Nate's behavior and how it affected her. Not that Nate needs help or he need to improve functions. Like how is his behavior going to affect her? I think that I really hope we explore some more of that as season 3 of how he was related to as a child, because it's very interesting to me that Cal didn't blame him for messing up his life. He didn't blame the first son, who was the unexpected pregnancy, right? Just as his life he'll had options. He blamed his second son. That's really, really interesting. Part of me wonders if sometimes when you're a parent, you're hypervigilant about your negative behaviors you see in yourself that maybe you see in your child. So I wonder if sometimes because Nate sees so much, because he's pretty much the You, that character from, I don't remember the guy's name, but the character from You, he's pretty much that character in this series, right? He's probably has an inner monologue where he's thinking about things and dissecting people's motivations, and I wonder if that started something, and then he became the bad child, and it's lived up to that situation. I mean, to that title. Right. I don't know. I'm just very curious about how this all formed. Also, the people have been posting. You ever seen those pictures that there's a third brother? Y'all seen that? Like people were taking.
Yeah, I saw the picture. In fact, it was on the 4th episode. Cal took the photo or the frame, and it had a third kid. What happened to the third kid? Is Nate the youngest, or where is he in the?
Is that third kid gone? Did Nate have something to do with that by accident, and that's why he got turned in? Was it a prop mistake? Was it a prop mistake, that seems a pretty hefty prop mistake?
No, somebody said that there was a third kid, and I mean, to be fair, it wasn't until the carnival situation I didn't even know Nate had a brother at all. So I really don't know, but I do think that there's possibly another kid. I don't even know if it's a boy or girl either.
Yeah.
It's all sons.
No.
So I don't know, and I think it's interesting. I think, like Nat said, that I think at this episode he just said, "Yep, I'm the bad guy. I'm the guy in the toxic relationships. I'm the guy in the things like that." But you know what? Jules ain't do nothing to me. Let me get that. Plus, my dad screwed her over too. Let me get that out the way. And Maddie, I'm a piece of ish. I'm gonna let you go the most toxic way that you can never forgive, and we can never, it's yeah. So my thing is, in his own twisted way, was he trying to be a nice guy in this episode?
Maybe with Jules, I feel like he was low-key trying to make up for what happened last season. Because they barely talked this season, like, at all. And I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but again, it serves his own ends a little bit, because at least it's out of his hands at this point. If Jules wants to reveal it, then let the chips fall where they may. And it's funny because the reason why, or at least when Rue was narrating, she was talking about the threat of the business. So, like you said, it was just really interesting why he would give it to her when that threat was still there. But again, maybe in some, like Fez was talking about earlier, he's in love with Jules in his own way. So that was him saying, "Hey, let me do this one good thing."
That's how I show I love you. And she's like, "There's any more copies? As far as I know, this is the only one." I thought that was a very interesting line too. As far as I know, this is the only one.
I mean, it was honest.
It was an honest. It wasn't manipulative at all. It was just like here, and maybe that was his one good deed.
Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely did fall in love with Jules. I think he's scared of that part of himself that did fall in love with Jules, so he didn't know what to deal with it. And he even said to Jules, like, initially I was protecting somebody that didn't deserve it. I assume that he's talking about Cal, his dad. But even with the way that he handled Maddie, I think honestly, man, and you might be right. Like, yeah, he needed to get the disc back, and he was, willing to do whatever. But he even said in the beginning, he was like, you know what will be really crazy? If I pointed this gun at you to get you back. That would be crazy. Because, I mean, we know how much he's obsessed and loves Maddie and needs Maddie. But at this point, I think that he's willing to let her go, which is actually a good thing, which is not a bad thing. Like, it's at this point, like, yeah, he crossed her and he knows that she'll never trust him again, but he's weaving himself to do other things. Like, he could still try, but he knows enough that, like, no, I need to scare this girl away from me. This needs to stop at this point. And he knew the perfect way to do it, and he knew the perfect way to get the disc. So I think that, yeah, it meets his needs, but I also think that he really was trying to let her go. Now with the whole Cassie thing, I'm kind of scared of that. I don't know what they about to do in that room. It seems really, I don't know, but I apologize, Jarrell. We haven't given you a chance. What did you think about the whole Nate situation?
What I think about the whole Nate situation?
Like everything that Nate did, the moves that he made, why he made the decisions he made, and anything you want to comment on what we said so far.
Sorry, my YouTube is going nuts right now. What did I think about what Nate did? The best thoughts I can give is that when hold on, let me blow myself up real quick. When we see Nate, like Maddie's just doing whatever in the distance, and Nate is just, or I think she's changing, and Nate's just like sitting there, unmoving, like a fucking demon child, fucking Antichrist, right? Or even like when the two of them are sort of like, they're like face to face, and he's like pulling the trigger on the gun, and like, oh, not this time. Oh, hasn't fired this time. Oh, hasn't fired this time. He is what do I think? I feel like the real question is, why did he give Jules the tape? Why do that?
Right.
It's a curious, paradoxical, like unsolvable mystery. And I don't know. I mean, he's such a fucking like Patrick Bateman, you know what I mean? Like, he's such a fucking psychopath, you know? I remember his mom was like, what the fuck happened? Like, you were such a cute, cuddly kid, and then from fucking like age like 8 through like 11 or some shit, you just like changed. What happened? I'm very curious about that, because there seems to be a definitive answer there. And likely beyond what we're all thinking too, you know? And I don't think Sam would just highlight that question for no reason, you know, that assertion from the mother. But I'm very curious what his thoughts are with the Jules thing. Like, is he hoping that his father's situation like blows up even further? Like, is he, I don't know, is he still trying to worm his way back into Maddie's life in some fucked way? Like, is he trying to have Jules as like a cool, like, oh, I can depend on her for such and such going forward? It's very curious. It's very curious. Man, I don't know what I can say definitively, but if he's never played chess, he's definitely a chess player for sure, with the mindset, you know? I'm very curious, like, what happens between like Nate and Maddie moving forward, right? Because there's no way that Maddie just like holds this inside for the rest of her life and tells nobody. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, but do you? Well, I guess I'll ask two different questions. Do you
Sure.
think that Maddie's already released the tape out to somebody before Nate got it? And the second question is that do you not think that him going and finding his dad's collection played a traumatic role as to why his whole world got turned upside down from that moment? Because I mean, I felt like that was what there was. I felt like that was it was alluding to. But when he asked her, it sounds like you're alluding to something, but you're not asking. I think in that moment he wanted her to identify it and admit that this is what her husband was doing, so he could have some resolve.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't. I took it as like she was being a neglectful parent during that moment. I feel like it was really right there, but she didn't care enough to even probe to ask.
So just to clarify something, like prior to this tape, did Nate know about his dad's, you know?
I have a
Collection?
feeling he did. That's why that was when his behavior changed.
Yeah, that was what happened in season 1. Is that I think the very first backstory for Nate was showing like how he found his dad's collection and he kept it a secret. He kept sneaking in and looking at what his dad was doing, like his even his own sexual identity is connected to that.
Sure.
But it was almost like a dark place because, and I think Cal even identified it in the last episodes that, you know, I kind of kept my double life a thing and you did too. I apologize for that. And I think that's where it started. And it's sick because how long has Cal known that Nate knew? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But yeah, I absolutely do think so.
Twisted relationship. And it's like Nate probably sensed that both parents didn't really love him like he should have been loved. Like,
yeah.
It's just a double-edged sword with Nate. It just really sucks.
He couldn't even ally with his mom in this episode. Like his mom even just turned on like he's like, yeah, we'll be good together and be gutters.
Yeah. It's man, it's hard because Nate is such a sick person, so it's hard to sort of predict his upcoming moves. And sorry, what was your first question? You asked two questions. What was the first one?
Oh, crap. What was the first question? we went deep in it.
Right.
What'd you say, Nate? Nat?
I said you went left. Like
yeah, I did. Yeah, I just totally had a brain fart just now. I don't know. I don't even know what my question was.
Well, to save you some time, I do agree that it's probably probable that the thing that his mom was like, you know, what happened to you? That's probably it. You know, he probably noticed something about his dad or discovered some porn stash from his dad and was just like, what the fuck? You know, and maybe internalized like, oh, my dad's a monster. Like, oh, maybe I can be a monster. That's okay. Correct? Question mark, you know?
Right.
So maybe that's how that started. I wish I could remember what your first question was because it was solid as hell. But it's hard to have a clear, coherent train of thought with Nate. You know what I mean? Because he's so. I just don't know. I don't know.
He's a multi-layered character, man.
I do think he wants his dad to be owned. I do think that. I do think that like maybe this Jules thing is his way of like hoping, because I think in Nate's mind he thinks he's fine. Like I think in Nate's mind he thinks he's a good person. He doesn't. I don't think he doesn't. He doesn't. I don't think Nate is super willing to think of himself as like. It's kind of like a Kylo Ren thing. Like he believes he's correct. You know, I don't think he's willing. I don't think that Nate. I don't think that Nate is willing to accept that like he's just his villainous bad person. He believes that his steps are correct. Is my point. No different than Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren just thinks his actions are correct.
I don't recognize anything you just said. It's kind of gone mush. All right.
Oh my
anyway,
God.
So
wow, are we really going there?
That's just a fucking Star Wars fan in you. But go ahead.
So I would say that most people don't wake up trying to be the bad guy. They usually
Correct.
justify what they do and how they do it, unless
Correct.
you think being the bad guy is the safest place to be, or that was your destined role,
Yeah.
right? So some people, and I think Nate does not think he's a good person, just like Rue doesn't think she's a good person, just like Jules doesn't think she's a good person, just like Cassie ultimately doesn't think she's a good person, or deserving of these love or things like that. And I think that's I think it's whole. I think they're just reacting to these things a little differently, right? And also Rue has done just as much, if not as more damage than Nate has, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And
he might recognize that, like, I've done bad things, but like he doesn't fucking care, bro. Or at least he's not willing to, you know.
I think that at some point you take on the role. You make things. You take on certain roles and you become self-fulfilling prophecies, right? I am the bad guy. I am not. I am worthless. I am unlovable. I am undeserving. And I think that at some point Nate probably needed that. I'm proud of you. I love you. I forgive you. I never, no matter what goes on between us, I'm glad you were my life. Like I don't think he ever got that.
So are you implying that, like, you think Nate has accepted that, like, you know what, fuck it, I am monstrous. I am black
I
on
do
the
not
inside.
think Nate thinks he's a good person. I do not think Nate thinks he's a good person or deserving of healthy relationships. No.
Yeah, there was something he said to Jules when he was talking about, and Jules asked him, like, why are you giving me this disc?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you know what? The answer would really just be too simple. and he was, and you were like, you trying to be a good person? He's like, nah, not at all. Like he said it straight up. Like he said it
So,
as clear.
I think it's very.
And it was like.
So, Ant, do you think that, like, he believes he's correct in his actions, the path that he's walking, the choices that he's making?
I think he justifies things to get what he wants, but I don't think ultimately he thinks he's a good person. I think it's very easy to paint Nate as the antagonist of the series and as a cartoon kind of villain, right? I think it's very easy to put that label on him. But the fact is, this show is about hurt people hurting other people. That's what this whole show's about.
100%.
Hurting people, hurting other people, and mainly hurting themselves. Like mainly destroying themselves. And the fact that they've done all this. Nate is and it's and like I said, just the fact that you can say that Fez is hurting more people than Nate, right? But we don't.
You could say that. You could say that. But Nate cannot see himself the way that we do. There must be like a level
Nate sees himself very clearly.
So this is what I was gonna say is that I think that Nate knows what he wants and he will do and manipulate whatever he can to get the direction of which he wants. And he even said it to Jules. I think that whole conversation with Jules is really telling. Like he said, and I quote, you know what, like I did that initially, those things to you to try to help somebody that didn't deserve it. Meaning that it's not about what was right. It's not about his perspective of what was right. He knew for a fact it was wrong. But he needed to do it. The ends justified the means to get what he needed at the time. And that's it. And so what I'm saying is that I don't think that he inherently believes that was the correct course or the right thing to do in that moment. It was just, I mean, I think that some moments where he's really unempathetic, for sure. But I do think that he understands who he really actually is, especially at this point right now in the story. I think that he understands that his actions have caused a lot of destruction. And sometimes he really just don't care. Because for him, it was like, yo, I broke my dad. Woo, I made it. But a part of him inside is like, yo, that was cold stuff. And that's why he had that conversation with his mom. That whole conversation with his mom was to try to give validity or validation to what he did. Because he was thinking, oh, man, my mom's going to be kind of upset about this. She's going to have to deal with this. And we're going to have these kind of conversations. He was thrown off by the fact that she's just so cool about it. And it bothered him. I think it bothered him more than anything.
I think that he thought that I accomplished my goal. I dominated my dad. Like I broke him. I won. Right. He admitted I won, which is kind of his goal, to have that control.
Right.
And then he realized, what did that get me? There is nothing else. And then his mom was like, "Hey, all right, you finished that project. Don't bring that energy over here, please." and I think he realized like, oh snap, like this wasn't isolated. And I think he had a kind of. I also think that Nate is kind of a borderline personality disorder.
I do.
And I think that what something Sam said, when if he wants a reaction out of you and he can't get the reaction he wants, he'll settle for another one, right? So if I want Jules' attention and affection, if I can't get that, then I'm gonna have her hate me to have another reaction, or I'm gonna have her do. And I think he goes through that a lot. And I think he thought that the match is over. The match is over. I beat my dad. And then he was like, wait. Then what's next? Where do I go from here? Where's the cycle continue? And his mom realized very quickly, yes, when you're bored with that, who's your next target? Like who's the next person you're gonna vent this self-hatred and all those other things onto? Is it gonna be me? Is it gonna be you don't think your brother's a worthy opponent because he's dumb? like where
so
where is this going?
So I did have one last question to answer because he's giving some curious answers to me. So like I was watching a podcast with a certain somebody who's real popular, and he turned to someone and he said that like, listen, like I recognize that like I'm ugly, like I recognize that like I'm a monster, and like I've just accepted it. Is this where you think Nate is?
I think he's accepted that role at this point in his life. I think that he's just accepted that I'm not a good person.
Okay.
I'm not a good person. And I think that even in him doing a positive thing, because he doesn't know how to do positive things. He doesn't know how healthy things. He has had no example of healthy relationships.
Not at all.
What healthy examples of relationships in his life? And it's like, I encourage everybody to look up attachment theory videos on YouTube, and then look up attachment theory and how that can relate to your adult relationships in life. I think you guys might find that very interesting in looking at how you relate to people versus how that was informed by your early interactions with caregivers.
Do you think
I don't know.
Avoidant? Sorry, do you think he's avoidant?
I think it's possible. I think it'd be really interesting to sit down and break him down. Like
it was the one that's like way off to the end of the spectrum. That last theory, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna bring up something that Nat had brought up when it was brought up about Nate choking Maddie out, right? And I think you had said, Nat, like, why didn't he just admit it? Why didn't he just tell the truth? I think that the biggest thing is he doesn't want people to perceive this bubble that he's kind of put up. He knows who he is. I think he knows inherently like he's not a good person, but he wants to hold up this lie because that's what he modeled from his dad. Everybody looks at in the town that this dude is this perfect individual, like he's the town savior, he's this athlete and stuff like that. And this bubble is where he kind of lives in, you know what I'm saying? And even in front of his mom's like, yo, I know what happened. I wanted to choke her too. He's like, no, I didn't do that. It was like breaking that bubble, even though he knows for a fact, like, yeah, I did it. I was messed up. I got over on it. Because he even said, like, no, I got acquitted from that, Mom. And she's like, nah, you can tell me, you know? And I think that's where, like you said, and like, it's certain moments where he pulls back and forth. But I think he always knows what he did inherently is not good. I just don't think he just necessarily cares. And when he gets caught in that bubble about to bust, he feels like he has to fix it very quickly. Because at this point, the outside doesn't know how much of a monster Nate actually is. Only the close inner circle people in the show do. But everybody else, they look like, yo, he's an athlete. He's got a crazy dad. You know, it's crazy stuff going on. But nobody looks at him like he's the bad guy necessarily, other than the people that really know him.
Do y'all watch The Boys?
Yes, I did.
No. Okay, there's a character on The Boys called Homelander, right?
Yes, sir.
The only thing keeping Homelander, the only thing that really Homelander cares about is his public reputation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The mask and the illusion of what's going on around him.
Yep.
Okay.
And in the I don't even know Nate's last name. Do we know Nate's last name?
Jacobs.
Yes.
Jacobs. Okay,
Jacobs,
the
yeah,
Jacobs
yeah.
household. It is the illusion that they care about, right? It's the illusion, how we project it. We're keeping up with the Johnsons, but we're the Johnsons. We have these perfect sons and this perfect family and this perfect thing, and we know people like that in real life, right? It's the projection that we're the perfect family and we're the perfect, so we don't ever deal with anything. And yeah, we might have this uncle that's doing something, but hey, we all just don't leave the kids alone with them. We'll be fine. Oh, this kid is dealing. This person's dealing with this. All right, hey, we keep it in the household. We put duct tape on this.
Right.
You know, we don't actually solve the problem because the thing we're really afraid of is people to see what's really going on. Right. So that's the only thing he was valued. So the same thing with Homelander is the only thing that people can threaten with at the show is, hey, this will go public.
God damn. Public. Dog, you done compared this nigga to Homelander, but I don't even think I can dispute that.
You can't disagree.
And it's weird because maybe a good person probably was wrong, but I do think that God, it's weird talking about him, but like I do think that on some level he does think that like his steps are correct, even if he like unconsciously knows that like, bro, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to think this way. You're not supposed to make these kind of actions.
I think Nate wants genuine acceptance when he takes the mask off and he doesn't know how to get it. And I think that a lot of his actions are to find genuine acceptance and unconditional love, but the closest he gets to is manipulating these girls in his life. And that's not really feeding them. It's not really feeding them. And I don't think he knows how to feed himself emotionally.
Yeah, I don't either. Because isn't that what Cal said? Is that what was the quote he said? He's like, I'm not emotionally. What is it? He said something. It was something about emotion that he said he wasn't getting. And then he went on his rant about all this other stuff. But that was the very first thing that he said.
I mean, I know he put a huge emphasis on the fact that like, listen, like, I don't give a fuck anymore. If I want to fuck men, women, transgenders, like I'm just gonna do it. I know he made a huge riff off of that for sure.
No, he's not being emotionally fed. That's exactly what he said. He said, I'm not being emotionally fed in this household, and this household does not facilitate it for me. And then that's when he went on this. But that was it's funny symmetry that Ant would say that, but that's the exact same thing that Cal was feeling and was trying to say. And it also it ties back into what the mom said. The mom's like, it's crazy how you have all your dad's negatives, but you don't have any of the positive. And then that triggered Nate, but she didn't explain or elaborate on the positives. Like it's anyway. You know what? We're gonna move away from this and talk about this happy little couple right here. We got to talk about Fez and Lexi. Who wants to break down their scene and what do you guys feel about them? And I mean, this is Euphoria, so nobody has a happy ending. But I mean, in the moments of greatness, they have the most intimate, cutest moments of the show, in my personal opinion. Nat, you want to go first?
Yeah, they were, like you said, they were adorable. They were just so cute. I was just smiling the entire time they were on screen together. It was just so adorable. Like they were, bonding over Stand By Me, a movie, and they held her hand. I was like, oh man, are you gonna make a total move or you taking it slow? Okay, we're taking it slow. That's so adorable. That's so adorable.
Right.
And it's like he gave her. Lexi hasn't felt seen. Like she doesn't feel seen by everyone else in this show except for Fez. Fez sees her, and so she's able to be a little more open, although she wasn't very forthcoming about her play for real, but she was vague enough that it was encouraging. But yeah, it was just adorable. I've been waiting for some little cute moment since episode 2, and we have all of this. But now this is threatened. It's threatened, and I am mad because I want more scenes. Ash, you had one job. I hope it was recorded. I really hope they can do like a playback or something because they need.
What's that Justin Timberlake song? The damage is done, so you need to be leaving. That's what needs to be doing. It's damage is done, bro. It's a wrap. But and what do you think about that?
I mean, it's like, God dang it, that's when you gotta take your pee break, man. And how you? I kind of like cuss the show a little bit. Like, no, that's some bull. That's the one time he took a little bit. No, it was a cute thing. I don't even think they Netflix and chilled. I think they actually watched it.
I think they did too. I did too.
100%.
I think it's man. Like Fez is a good dude, man. Like
he really is.
Like Fez, come date your daughter, and be like, oh man, why you gotta be a drug dealer, Fez? Are you a middleman at least?
Blame grandma.
Yeah. So I thought that was a very cute moment, and I felt like they gave the show gave us a little bit of what we like. Oh, look at this nice relationship we're gonna get, and something to make us feel good. And they had to come in, hit us in the back of the head, like, look at these snitches. Look at these snitches. It is amazing that I am rooting for the drug dealer and a murdering kid and the burnout to be left alone by all these toxic people. God.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Listen, first off, can I just say my mother made it a point that when I was the same age as the cast was, she showed me Stand By Me. I fucking love that movie.
It's a good movie.
Damn, dog. It's a fucking classic, dog. I think it might actually be a Stephen King novella or a novel, if I'm not mistaken. But I fucking love Stand By Me. I've seen it countless times, so immediately, like, I'm already there. You already got me there, you know? But bizarrely, Lexi and they're just the cutest together, bizarrely. There truly is some kind of oddball, totally unexpected chemistry between the two of them that nobody would have saw coming.
Let Lexi get some. Let Lexi get some. Let her have a little bit.
They both need to get some because Fez hasn't really loved anybody the 2 seasons that we've seen him. Lexi neither, so they both need it.
They're so adorable together. I've been trying to crack down what this could be, but I think it's just because the show is so bleak and harsh that it's intriguing that they're like the cutest. They're the most adorable aspects of the show so far. Right. I don't know. I really vibe with it. They have, again, truly unexpected. Who would have saw they had chemistry together? Never mind, even as characters, just as like actors. Who would have saw that coming? You know what I'm saying? Fucking daughter of fucking Judd Apatow and some guy that they found at like I think a Waffle House or some shit. Like, what the hell? I love it. I eat it up. Just like apparently the rest of the internet. I eat it up.
Yeah, no, they as a couple, man, I really do truly love them. Like I'm not gonna lie, I don't want anything to happen to them. Like, and you know, we can go through different love stories, but how many love stories we really actually care about the two individuals? You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's a good story, but it's a rarity. You got the female and the male, and you're like, oh wow, I actually want them to work out, you know? And it's like in a show like this, it seems literally impossible. And it's like it's almost like a tragic Romeo and Juliet situation because he's a drug dealer. His brother killed somebody. Matter of fact, like he robbed a dude in his mansion and beat him he almost beat him to death in front of his son. Like
he was gonna murk Cal. Multiple times at this point.
Straight up, like he beat the snot out of Nate, even though Nate deserved it. But if somebody hadn't pulled him off him, he probably would have killed that man. But I'm saying, and Lexi, I mean, she's just a chill chick, you know, but she's watching everything happen, you know, and it's just sad because now, like, not only does Fez have this chick that her boyfriend is literally about to snitch on him, but she also, I mean, Fez is also in a situation where what Rue did is going to directly affect him as well.
Yeah.
And it's like Lexi's just in the middle,
drugs in peace. Let this man sell his drugs in peace and watch Stand By Me and take care of his grandma. like let them do that. Was I the only person that was hoping that Ash was gonna beat her with the shotgun and knock those two off when they were talking about the stench? Like, just so they could watch that movie with the cops busting in.
So do y'all think I don't know. Do y'all think something's gonna happen to Fez or Ash potentially by the end of this season? Because I feel like something's got to go down, and I'm wondering if something hypothetically speaking did happen to Fez. I think Ash would go off on everybody. But if something happened to Ash, I don't know what Fez would do. I don't know if Fez would be like, you know what, I need to step away from all this. Or if he would legit retaliate, because we've never seen Fez just go off, really. It's always been Ash. So I'm just really curious because it's either going to be Ash, Fez, or Lexi are going to be affected by this in some way, shape, or form. But I'm curious y'all's predictions because at this point we've got 2 more episodes to go.
Listen, I told you from the beginning that something is going to happen to Ash. We'll see if I'm correct, but they've already confirmed that. I believe in season 1, Fez was supposed to go, if I'm not mistaken, but they decided to keep Fez on as a character. So that this just leads me to think that Ash, especially since Ash Ray, he's such a blunt character. I mean, though he is like memeable and oddly lovable, even though he's almost hardly ever on screen, but I feel like it's got to be Ash, you know, especially with the ground swelling for Fez's character. Like this fool is almost, dare I say, becoming as popular as Rue's character, which is extraordinary. So I think Ash is gonna go. I really do.
Dang, that's some cold stuff.
Just saying.
What do y'all think?
I'm hoping that Faye actually gets a conscious, because it just seems like from how she was looking and how she was processing stuff, she was like, I've been staying with them for a while and they don't seem like horrible people.
Right.
So it's kind of like, is it right that they're going to get raided? That would redeem her in my eyes if she somehow warns them or just something that would at least make me like her just a little bit. But yeah, I'm worried. I don't want anything to happen though. But I'm gonna be mad. I'm probably gonna walk away. I'm probably gonna be very upset. And yeah, I don't know if I would want to continue with the show. No, I'm joking. But I don't want anything to happen to them. But something probably will. I just don't know which one. Fez has a controlled like anger. Like he likes to beat people up, but he hasn't really crossed that line. I just don't know if something happened to Ash, he would finally cross that line.
He definitely would. Most definitely.
I think that, like, so even they get raided, we know they don't keep drugs in the house anymore, so we know that's not the problem. The problem is if they have an eyewitness to a murder that's just out there, and that's the thing. But I want to say something about this. It's like, I think from my perspective, you have dangerous people, right? You have people who like to project that they're dangerous, and you have people who have intent whose first intent is to do the extreme maximum harm, and then you have the people that are chilled back and calculating dangerous. I think the most dangerous person in these rooms is Fez, not necessarily Ash. Ash is his first response could be this is the simple, direct thing to do. But I think when Fez decides that there has to be violence, when Fez decides there has to be to the next level, I think that's going to be a very scary thing. You know what I mean? Like, you ever go into a room, you got the person that's talking, and you're like, yeah, all right, whatever, man. It's cool. And then you got the person that's just sitting there watching everybody. It's the guy sitting there watching everybody that's chill. That's probably the person you need to be worried about if they get upset. and I think that's what I see in Fez. Like, it could go off, and we could see Fez be like, "Nah, man, you crossed the line. We know about snitching, man. Nah, Ash, I got this. Hand me that shotgun real quick." So it's like, I don't know. That's what I say. I think they're gonna be fine. I think he's at least this season. I think he's a very big part of the show. I think I'm kind of mad that they told us we're getting a season 3. Because
what?
Oh, yeah, I didn't.
No. But you were mad that there's going to be a season 3. You said?
No, I was mad that we were told there was a season 3 before the season was over.
But it's inevitable. The show's too popular.
No, I mean this. I mean, there's a lot of factors. It just leads me to believe certain things are going to happen and not happen. That could happen if this was possibly the second. You know what I mean? It's just how I look at shows.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree to a fault because kind of like all of us have said, it's a very strong possibility something could happen to Rue at any moment, at any time. There's a strong possibility that the next episode, Nate killed himself in front of Cassie because he, in some sick way, he felt like he was connected to her the most, and she cares about him, uncontrollably. It's a very strong possibility that something could happen to Fez and he died. I mean, to be fair, I mean, none of those things change, but it when you kind of get to the end, you're kind of like, yo, I want to leave this on like a high moment and not knowing like what's going to happen next. Because I feel like it took a while before they confirmed season 2, right?
Yeah.
Because we got the little mini stuff, but that even took like a year before they even confirmed that, right?
There was a huge hiatus, but I know that the pandemic played a heavy hand in that. Though.
I don't believe I heard there was a season 2 until after, or at least the week of the. I'm pretty sure it was after the season 1 finale that I heard there was going to be a season 2,
right?
And then that turned into the specials that were good. The specials that were good.
Yeah,
but. I don't think this goes on. I don't think this goes on until it's not popular anymore. I think it goes on until they tell the story they want to tell. That's how I look at it.
I kind of feel like this is one of those series that's so serious. If they want to maintain the core of what's going on, I don't see it going past 3 seasons personally, or maybe at most 4. But what I'm trying to say is that at the end of the first season, Rue legit OD'd.
Yeah,
and I didn't know. I mean, I knew because I looked at the first episode of the second season before I looked at the first season. But I'm saying that if I hadn't have looked at the first and went through that, I would have been like, "Yo, what? This was a crazy series." But there have been many series before, So I don't know. I do like the idea of not knowing where the trajectory is gonna go. I am happy at the same time, to Jarrell's point, that it's gonna happen because like it looked like things were gonna happen. It's just, is it gonna continue with certain characters that are key characters? Like, is Jules out of nowhere just gonna bite it? Is Rue out of nowhere just gonna bite it? We still don't really know.
And there's a lot of characters that didn't get any real air or focus this whole season, right? So we talked about Kat. Kat had a really cool, interesting scene with the I think you told me there was a lot of different YouTubers in that room with her. I thought it was a great scene. And then the weird breakup scene that, they're not taking responsibility.
Please.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that? Please.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, go ahead. No. I mean, I don't know.
I ain't got nothing to say about her, bro.
Huh?
I'm done with her. I ain't got nothing to say about her.
This is such a disservice to Kat as a character. I feel like it came out of left field. And now I'm understanding the rumors about Barbara and her reaction to her arc. Like that didn't make sense. Yes, I'm glad that Ethan stood up for himself. Yes, I'm glad for that. But I just feel like this could have been an opportune moment to handle something in a mature way, and it didn't happen. Like, she just went completely left. And I just feel like it was unnecessary and it was unfair to Ethan. Like, I get that you don't like yourself right now, but right now you're projecting, and that's just not cool. Like, he didn't deserve that at all. And I don't think I know that, like, when you're dealing, like, with self-esteem, like, sometimes you can project and, like, what do you call it? Blame other people for your issues. But I just feel like that wasn't really Kat. Based on what we know from the first season, I just don't feel like that was her character at her core. And I just thought that wasn't fair. Man, so I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And
so, I didn't think I was going to have this conversation. Because I didn't want to waste any more breath on this character. That sounds bad, but I mean it. I really do mean it. The first season,
I wasn't trying to defend her because I just don't feel like that was her. I just don't feel like the way she was written for that scene, that wasn't her.
So if you go back through the first season and the way she plays this online game, of like telling people they're terrible looking for her to get money back, and she's getting self-gratification on making people feel miserable getting off on that, and then starting to come into her own, just kind of using men because she wasn't self-fulfilled within herself about the way she felt. This has been spiraling to this point. The difference was at the very end, after she slept around with X amount of people, she realized, Ethan's actually a really good dude. Maybe I should give him a chance. And maybe that's going to change me. Maybe that's going to make me feel better. Beginning of the season, she starts to realize, oh man, he's really cool. Oh wow, he's good at this. He's really good at that. But I don't know if I love him as much as he loves me. I don't know if I really like him. I don't know if I really want to be with him. Like she even said that in the bathroom scene when Rue, it said like, I may have everybody was like, did you relapse? Like, no. But before that happened in that scene, she was having a conversation with Maddie. She was like, yo, I don't know if I really want to be with him anymore. And even at the pool scene, she's like, I think I'm done with Ethan. Like, I can't do this anymore. And it's like, it's been leading up to this because she's been trying to figure out a way to get out of the relationship. It's just showing what's going on her inside of her heart. Like, she's got a lot of things, an inadequacy complex about herself internally. And yeah, like you said, she's projecting, but I don't think that this is a left turn. I think that's just where it was going to go. I don't think she's good for him. I don't think she's good for anybody. I think she's actually a really bad person. But I do think that there's a core to it, and maybe she can come out of it possibly. But I think that this is where her character was really going to go. It just shows how the levels of that was. Like, there was absolutely no remorse because she'd already cut him off in her head and trying to get rid of him because she couldn't stand being around him because she can't stand being around herself. And I don't know her family dynamics. That's the thing I don't know. I don't know why she is the way she is. I think that's the only thing from a story standpoint that I don't know. I think they should expound on that. I think that is deserving of her character. But outside of that, bro, Bumpcat, I'm sorry.
No, I still don't think she would have at least. I feel like because she at least cared for Ethan. Yes, she didn't like him anymore in a relationship. But as far as him being a good person, I feel like that would have still guilt tripped her just a little bit. And I don't think it would have been as bad as that scene. Yes, they could have broken up, but I feel like it could have been handled a little more maturely.
Yeah, she's a kid.
She's emotional. I mean, I think that's what boils down to it. She's a kid at this age. You're an emotional coward in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
That's a breakup test.
Gaslight though.
But how many times have people done like, I'm gonna do something so they break up with me? That way I don't have to break up person. Oh, it'll be easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Right. That happened a lot.
And so I think that's what she was doing, but it got really weird, twisted kind of a way, even more when he called her on it, and she got even like, wow, I thought I knew who you were. like that was the whole thing. But
like,
again,
he caught her in it, and she couldn't.
And I was happy for that because it could show people how to deal with those situations.
Right.
And I can't speak for y'all, but I've been an emotional coward at times. I'm not saying I've done that, but I've done other things where it's like, I've been an emotional coward. And I think that was her being, she's bold in a whole bunch of other areas, but she was an emotional coward. That it did take what I think that I feel what Nat was feeling is like, I didn't have that same, and again, I haven't watched season 1 in a while, but that wasn't the image I got from her porting that over to this. So it felt it was jarring for a minute. I was like, damn, was Kat cruel? Was she ever just cruel to people? Like I got the like personally, like I feel like, and I wonder because I know she doesn't like herself, and she's like she can't. And if she was getting out of a relationship to focus on herself, to be a healthier person, so she can accept healthy affections and love, that'd have been great. She's not going to do that, But yeah, it took. I gotta agree with that. Kind of, and again, I just haven't. I think you're the only person out of 4 of us has seen season 1 like recently, like that binged it all. But so my characterization of Kat was like, wow, this is cruel. I didn't know you to be a cruel character. And then she said something else with Maddie to be cruel too. I forget what it was, but she has said a couple of things this season that was kind of like, is that her character?
Look at season 1 again.
I do think. Well, first off, fuck Kat. First off, how you gonna do my fucking boy like that? And such a sweet boy too. Like, goddamn. But and second off, How the fuck you gonna do this fucking boy like that? But anyway,
but also he picked a girl that he picked a girl that was having who had certain. She wanted certain things, and if she's in her bad boy phase and her trying to find herself phase, and she ain't trying to find Mr. Right phase right now.
There's
but
that too. There's that too. But
her.
even from season 1, I will admit, Kat seems to be an incredibly impressionable person. Like, for example, like when Maddie was talking about Maddie cracks me the fuck up. But when she was talking about like what if there was a murder? What there's this huge murder, and Kat's like, you right. Like if Maddie was like, bitch, I was just joking. What you talking about? I feel like Kat would be like, oh yeah, no, you right. I was just joking. She's a very malleable person in that way, and she seems dreadfully confused. Even when we called her in season 1, I at least remember that much. So it's not. It is jarring, but at the same time, it's not like completely like that's unlike her character. I need to talk to Sam. What was he thinking? I don't know if it's that level, but it certainly was like jarring. And at the same time, she is a kid. She is like, some Instagram, teenager. Sadly.
Yeah. Did you ever think when I was gonna say about the bad boy phase? I thought I saw you have like a reaction when I said that she was in her bad boy phase still. No, I thought I saw a reaction.
No, I knew she was in a bad boy phase. Like I knew she was trying to be more confident last season, and when her and Ethan started to develop a relationship, it just seemed like she genuinely liked him. And so again, I feel like this season, I really wish we could have explored a little bit more about why she feels the way that she feels. Yes, the toxic positivity scene was very good and really, I think, encompasses sometimes that feeling that we have. We should still feel like crap if we want to, but also have those self-affirmations. But sometimes it can get so overwhelming that it can just get overwhelming. And I think it could have gone in a different direction that could have been a little more positive, because I feel like the rest of the show has gotten this downward spiral, and I guess she's part of it now, but it would have been nice to at least see someone have like an upward take on their mental health and just confronting that, or the start of it anyway. But I just feel like it didn't happen, and I guess maybe that's why I'm disappointed more than anything else. And yes, it was jarring. I was like, what? I wasn't expecting that at all. I guess I wasn't expecting the breakup to be that cruel.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like all these kids, they don't have any good positive reinforcement around them. None of them have like, oh wow, this person's doing pretty good, let me gravitate towards them and tell them what's going on with me. Like they don't even have parents that can help. So it's like, because of that, that's got to play a role in their personalities on a day-to-day basis. Because I mean, high school and the changes that they're going through in general is already enough to spiral a person. I mean, bullying is shown that, but it's like what they're going through and the serious situations that are happening. I mean, there's no telling how out of touch Kat really truly is. Like you guys said, like a lot of times she just like agrees with whatever Maddie said, and I think even Nate said that when they were in the pool.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like, because of her kind of being there in the midst of it and absorbing everything that's happening, she's also never really truly revealing her own cards about who she actually really is inside. And I mean, there's never been that moment. Somebody's like, yo, are you okay? Like, what's really going on with you? Like, even with like her phase, like Ethan didn't know all the different things that she did. And he kind of caught her in her good moments. He just saw her entire chance. He didn't know the things that she was really doing. She didn't reveal any of that to him. She just was like, well, maybe I deserve something better. Maybe this will make me feel better. And everybody goes through this. It's like, oh, this relationship or this person or this thing will make me a better person, make me feel better. And at the end of the day, you didn't deal with what was really going on inside. But I did not intend on focusing on Kat. I wanted to end this.
Isn't what Nate's kind of doing right now with Cassie? I mean,
Look,
just
Nate
a little bit.
is
I think we settled for her though.
psycho/sociopath, and we're not gonna go anymore. But no, yeah, you're right. You're right, Nat. You're right. But do we have anything else? I think
therapy. It's a beautiful thing. Hey.
I was about to say, I was about to be like, my nigga, is this the first 2-hour discussion?
Yeah, I'm there's a reason I'm trying to, you know what, I'm just gonna do this.
Filing out the top of I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline.